Views and opinions of any of the guests of After Hours AM are not necessarily the views and opinions of After Hours AM, its hosts, its staff, or any of its affiliates.
Welcome to the After Hours program.
Are you
Now broadcasting live from the After Hours AM studio, Joel Sturgis and Eric Olson.
And good evening, one and all. Welcome to the After Hours AM. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis, right along with me,
Eric Olson.
And hey, Eric, we are less than a week now from the big Halloween, man.
We are indeed less than a week. It's extraordinarily
knocking on the door,
bizarre.
Yep.
And we've talked about this, and people who have been listening to the show all along, I'm sure, have picked up on it. We begin mentioning Halloween. The first mention, typically, I start getting the very first press release about some haunted house or something in maybe July.
Yep.
So you start the occasional mention, and then it picks up steam, of course, in August.
Yeah.
And lots of the really Halloween specialty places are in full bloom by August, or at least late August.
Yeah.
And then the various department stores and the big box stores and all those kick in fully in September, right?
Yes.
And so you feel what I'm talking about is it's like a stream.
It is.
And it starts off a little brook way up on top of a mountain. And by the time October comes, it's a raging.
We're drowning. We're drowning in Halloween goodness.
River. It is a raging river, and it just picks up speed, picks up.
It does.
It's coming. It's gone.
It's not like Christmas, where Christmas kind of hits all at once. Halloween's a trickle, is what it is. It trickles in. It kind of comes in under the radar.
It does. And then gradually, little by little, more and more and more. And at some point, you cross the line from it being too soon, too early to talk about it, to, whoa, it's almost here.
It's almost here. It's like 6 days away now. So, we got a little bit of time, but not a whole lot of time. And we're going to have a great Halloween show all ready to go for you guys next Thursday. That's not a problem at all. And then, of course, Wednesday with the Criminal Code, got a really special one coming up for that as well. So you're going to want to keep your eyes and ears peeled for that one. But that's all next week. But tonight we're talking about the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft.
We are.
And that's going to be cool because, witchcraft is one of those, that, Eric. I get kind of strange in a lot of ways about that subject matter because it kind of freaks me out a little bit. Just a little bit.
Well, you go to this place, you go to this museum, and we just kind of stumbled upon it. My wife found an article in the local kind of Entertainment Weekly that did a list of the spookier, eerier, more offbeat, odd, kind of
crazy stuff. Yeah.
Shops and places around Cleveland where we live. But included with the shops and whatnot was this museum, which has only been open about a year and a half here in Cleveland.
Yeah.
And we went in there, and it was just amazing. We had such a great time talking with Stephen and Jillian and seeing all the artifacts. And I guess they only have something like 40% of the stuff up because of space. But it's still a ton of stuff. And it's such an amazing collection of actual witchy, Wiccan type artifacts, along with pop culture, giving it kind of a sense of reference, history of the movement, of the Wiccan movement, and history of the various individuals prominent, obviously most prominent of all, Raymond Buckland, who formed the museum in the first place, and who's basically the guy who brought Wicca. You can't really say he invented it, but he was one of the founders of Wicca in America in the 20th century. So he's a super influential guy. But, I mean, there's some really creepy stuff in there, too, like we were talking about last night, a box that holds
a demon.
a demon.
Oh, did you see, by the way, that Zach and the boys over there on Ghost Adventures are going to be opening the Divic box on Halloween night?
I saw they were going to do that.
They're going to do that. They're giving disclaimers out that they're not responsible for any health problems you might have by watching the show and da-da-da. I don't know. I'm sure the box has been opened before. I'm sure not the first ones to open it.
Well, certainly at some point, yes.
Yeah, but I don't know. What do you think? I don't know, really. I mean, should people fear the Divic box? I'm not sure. I mean, of course, it's a good hook. It is a 4-hour-long extravaganza on the Travel Channel Halloween night, and gosh, I won't be tuning in, but I might be
getting time.
If I didn't have small children, if I didn't have small children, I might contemplate. I might catch on demand though. But I'll be interested to see the social media, how many people fall ill because they watched it. Because that always happens. Somebody says, "Oh, I was afflicted. I watched like last year's Annabelle. I watched the doll Annabelle and now I'm possessed. Oh my God," stuff like that. So it's always interesting to see what kind of social influence these shows have.
You are utterly correct. It's kind of hard for me to really get behind the notion that
it's a box.
Well, it's a box. More importantly, it's a box on television.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're watching them open a box on a box. Really? So
exactly.
That's about it.
That's my problem. I am open to the concept. I'm open to the possibility that there really is something attached to this box, that it has actually caused throughout time, issues for people. I'm open to all of that, but that's people with direct contact to it.
Yeah.
I don't see how people can be afflicted with that much space between them, with that much separation.
Yeah. It'd be
the screen,
It would have to affect millions of people then at that point, and I wonder how powerful exactly this Divic demon is. Can he go to millions of homes? That would be pretty powerful. Okay, well,
bouncing off the satellite.
Yeah. It's
weaving through all those boxes, those cable boxes.
Sure.
Wow, that's
he'd be truly a demon of epic proportion if he could do that, and that would be something else.
That's for sure. All right. Well, we were debating. Should we do a final for Halloween? And we still might next Thursday, which will only be the day after. That's still All Saints Day.
It really would be, and we will give you guys a final location on the book, but I think we're going to switch gears, and we're going to do the symbolism of some of the stuff from Halloween. But really quickly, before we do that, I've been asked like only 10 million times, okay, not that many, but close, my thoughts on The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix. So I did watch the whole thing, Eric. All 10 episodes. All of them.
Yeah.
10
I've still only
hours.
seen the first 5.
Oh, I watched the whole thing, okay? Now, I read the 1959 novel, by the way. It's only like 256 pages long. It's not much of a novel, but it's really good.
Oh, it's a classic. It's considered.
It's great.
Many people think it's literally the haunted house book.
It is a great book, and if you're looking for something that covers that source material really faithfully, don't watch this.
No,
because it really
and part
doesn't.
of it's just the era.
Exactly.
We've changed
if you're
time, right?
But if you're really looking for something that for this Halloween season that will cover that source material almost word for word, check out the 1963 The Haunting movie, and that would be more up your alley if you want to do that, and that would be more faithful to that source material.
Clearly, this is an interpretation.
It is, but they did a really good job on it. Netflix did. I mean, the actors were good, special effects were good. I mean, it does have its faults, though. I found it really kind of slow. It was a really kind of a slow burn. I found it a little bit convoluted at times. I was a little confused here and there with all the flashbacks, what's happening. So you really got to watch it and watch it hard. And there's a lot of things that you're going to miss in the background if you don't watch it really, really closely, like ghosts that pop up, that just kind of the background kind of thing. It's a lot of atmospheric horror, too.
Tons of them.
Yes, that's atmospheric. It's also got jump scares. But the characters, Number one, it's a group of supermodels. They evidently were afflicted by this demon ghost. They're all pretty. I've never seen such a pretty family in my life. Unfortunately, they're all being preyed upon by this house. So that's horrible. Some of them really, the scenes are really robotic. I found myself not really caring a whole lot about most of these characters. Like, I don't give a crap. Die. I don't care. Do your thing. Because they were so robotic most of the time. Okay. And
I love the youngest girl, though.
Yeah.
Nell.
Yeah, she is.
The twin.
Yeah, she's a shining star. She did a great job. But in my book, the three that really came really heavy out there and really put a good performance on was Henry Thomas, which he plays the young father.
Right.
Timothy Hutton plays the old father. Well, Timothy Hutton's been around forever, and the guy is a hell of an actor. But Robert Longstreet, I was surprised to see him. He plays Mr. Dudley. He really turned in a great performance.
He's barely on in those first 5.
Yeah,
so
but
I
later
haven't
on,
seen much of him yet.
you see more of him as it goes. And the guy still, he's an underrated actor. I've seen him on other things. And in this, it's no different. He really brings it. And he is one of those actors that he truly wears that emotion on his face when he's talking. Like, you truly believe he's going through this. That's how well he does it. That's how well he portrays that part.
I will absolutely look for that. Yeah, we blew through those first 5 episodes, I think that first weekend that it was up.
What are you thinking? What do you think, though, after those first 5? Where are you at? What are you feeling? Are you liking it?
Oh, yeah, I'm very, very absorbed in it. I think it's super creepy, that house. Oh, my God. That house, truly, no kidding,
sure,
gives me the willies.
It is a freaky house. It's a really freaky house. Now, in 1999, they made, of course, A Haunting, which was with Liam Neeson, and, of course, that was a completely different film, but that was still the same source material as The Hill House.
That one didn't work.
That did not work at all. That borderline sucked. So if you're,
even beyond borderline,
yeah, it was bad. Okay, now where I'm at on this, it's not quite as good as Stranger Things in my mind. Just not quite there. Doesn't have the panache or even the character. It just doesn't have that personality that Stranger Things does in my mind. So I'll give the house I'll give that The Haunting of Hill House 4 out of 5 stars.
I think that's perfectly reasonable.
It's really good, but it's not a Stranger Things. I gave Stranger Things 4.5 stars when that was out. The first season 4.5 stars. I gave the second season about 4 because I thought they kind of fell off a little bit in the second season. But I'll be interested to see what they bring for the third one. This one, now, I did hear that there's going to be a season 2. So how they're going to get a season 2 off the ground, that's anyone's guess. But really quick side note, I did also watch the new series on Amazon Prime called Lore. Season 2. Season 1 was a little bit better because it's narrated by Aaron Mahnke. This one's no narration at all. It's straight storytelling, which is not bad, but the other one had more character in my mind. It was just a little bit better done, well done. This one, again, is really good. Don't get me wrong, but it's just not as good as the first season. And there is your reviews for this week. What's streaming right now that you could watch. I have not seen the new Halloween yet. I will get to that at some point.
Yeah, me too. We haven't either. We're going to try to get to it Saturday night. We have to travel again this weekend. We were down in Cincinnati for our daughter's birthday, visiting her at college. And this weekend we have to go almost that same area, southwestern Ohio again. But this is for a singing competition for my son.
Oh, he's singing, is he?
Yes, he's a singer as well.
Okay,
So
you got a talented family there. If you guys only had a bus, you guys would have it made.
Well, we got the family band, but the younger two are not in that. Someday, although they'll probably be way better. They'll be too good for us.
All you need is a little redhead, little Danny Bonatucci to join the little band there, and you'd have her made. You could have it to your own TV show.
Spunky little guy.
Yes.
We need spunky little guys. Anyway, so we'll be traveling again down to Southern Ohio for some sort of I don't know what it is, but it's a singing competition, and he's been practicing. So we'll be staying with friends in Springfield, Ohio, which is where I went to college at Wittenberg.
Is he going to be singing some Freddie Mercury songs to see if he can top Freddie Mercury's vocals?
He will not, because he has to sing in the musical theater category.
Oh, okay. Did you see that they just ranked Freddie Mercury again? Because they do this every year, basically. There's a list somewhere, somehow, of the best rock and roll vocalists, and Freddie Mercury's still number one. He's never been lower than number one, evidently. He's for years, he's been considered the best.
Which list is this?
What was that? I have to look up. It was one of our listeners that sent it to me. It was what was it? Guitar Center or somebody put together a list of the best vocalists ever, and Freddie Mercury is number 2. They had on this list. They had Bruce Dickinson as number 2, though. Mercury number 1. Bruce
was
Dickinson
this like
number
hard
2.
rock?
Yeah, it was more like
metal?
a hard rock kind of singer. Not more of the metal feel. Not necessarily just rock and pop. It was more metal than anything else.
Well, then Ozzy would certainly have to be up there.
I think he was number 5 on that list. Was number 5. Number 6 was Bon Scott.
Interesting. So hard rock / metal.
Yeah.
Sure. I'll say Freddie's.
But they
top.
ranked Axl Rose like at number 7.
Number 79.
Yeah.
No, really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's. I don't know. I'm up and down about him. There's some songs that I think he's the right guy, and I can't imagine someone else doing. And then there's others like, wow, I would so much rather hear someone else do that.
What was odd, they also ranked Rush lead singer, I forget his name, really high in that list. I cannot stand.
Geddy Lee.
I cannot stand his voice.
It's high.
I would rather be punched in the face,
it's high and thin,
by a million Mike Tysons than
or Jack Rabbits.
listen. Yes, then kangaroos could come and dance on my face before I'd want to listen to Rush all night.
I gotta tell you, I am not an enormous Rush fan either. Although I do like the earliest Rush. I'm so contrary to what most Rush fans are, which is the later the better, and the band didn't even exist till Neil Peart, the drummer, joined.
Exactly,
I think that was on the third album.
Yeah,
that's maybe the third album. Well, guess which ones I like.
You like the first?
two.
I was gonna say you like with that kid that had to leave because whatever, he got sick or something.
They were just a much. I find the drawn-out, lengthy sci-fi opuses just kind of, interesting enough, and they're good at what they do, but kind of pretentious. And,
well, that's because Neil Peart likes to show off his drum skills. That's why.
Boy, does he ever.
That is a driving drum beat that they have. That is the driving drum beat. Okay, we cannot waste any more time. We got to get to these Halloween symbolisms,
We
man.
have 12 minutes.
Well, we can bleed over to the next segment too if we have to a little bit. So don't feel rushed, man. Don't feel rushed.
No rush at all. To get through, 10 articles.
10 of them. That's hot. That's nothing.
It's okay. It doesn't actually matter because we're just talking about some interesting things. All right. So what's the first thing you think of when you think of Halloween?
Candy.
Symbol-wise.
Oh, of course, ghosts, man.
Well, there you go. Let's start with ghosts. I agree. Usually when you're seeing some sort of, imagery of Halloween, you're going to see a haunted house, you're going to see a witch flying, you're going to see a black cat, you're going to see a pumpkin, but oh boy, are you going to see a ghost. Most of us have a nagging sense that there's something out there just beyond our comprehension. A shadow disturbing the moonlight, a flicker just beyond gnarled trees, a whisper among the dead leaves. Normally we tune out these intimations. As the handbook for the recently deceased in Beetlejuice reads, the living usually won't see the dead, but on Halloween, the veil between the living and the dead draws aside, and ghosts are free to walk among us. Wow, I like that. I wrote that. Yay, me.
Well, look at you.
I'm patting myself on the back.
You and Mark Twain, man. Both.
I heard that. Yeah, the two of us.
Voices of generations right there.
Well, you're so right. in my mind. All right, in the ancient Celtic tradition of Samhain, which of course is spelled Sam Hain, because man, do the Celts like to pronounce things strangely. So anyway, Samhain, or Samhain, which eventually evolved into Halloween, the old year died on October 31st, and the new began November 1st. But after sundown on the 31st, there was a pause where ghosts could return to their former homes, seeking warmth and cheer. The words guests and ghost are rooted in the same Germanic word, Geist. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Guest and ghost from the same word, which originally meant the spirit of the dead relative invited to visit on a solemn occasion, such as Halloween. Wow, that's pretty specific. The word means dead relative invited to visit.
Sure. That makes total sense to me.
So that's Geist. All right. Appeasing friendly ghosts and evading evil spirits were the most pressing matters of the day. Huge bonfires were lit and tended to guide the welcome friendly spirits and frighten off evil spirits. And generous portions of newly harvested foods were set out to comfort and honor the return. To anger the spirits was foolish and dangerous, as even the ghosts of friends and family could visit harm upon the living, whereas contented spirits might give warnings or advice to the living. Ghosts were a dead serious matter, especially on Halloween, and people were hyper vigilant as to the indications of their presence. In Brittany, France, where pagan Celtic traditions continued into the Middle Ages, later than in the British Isles, stone lighthouses called Lanterns of the Dead gave protection against malicious ghosts on Halloween. Until recent times, a town crier wandered at sundown on Halloween, warning the citizens that ghosts were coming. After bedtime, singers took to the streets intoning, "You are comfortably lying in your bed, but with the poor dead it is otherwise. You are stretched softly in your bed, while the poor souls are wandering abroad." Wow, that doesn't even rhyme.
That really does not. But that's great.
Maybe it does in French.
Maybe.
You know, who knows? All right, children born on Halloween were thought to be able to routinely see and even interact with ghosts. As we discuss in Halloween and the Lost Art of Divination, which is another article that we may get to if we have time, people went to great lengths to enlist the spirit's aid in divining the future. No wonder then that ghosts, be they apparitions, animate skeletons, or in classic white shrouds, are such a potent symbol of Halloween. Ironically, it is religious Catholics and Episcopalians, along with modern Wiccans, Druids, and assorted pagans, who most closely celebrate the original spirit of Samhain Halloween today, and that they honor the hallowed dead on All Saints' Day, a.k.a. All Hallows, on November 1st. The Mexican Day of the Dead is similarly celebrated on November 1st and 2nd. All right, well, we covered that one. All right, we probably only have time for one more. Do you want to cover orange and black, the black cat, pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns, bats, divination? What say you?
My gosh, that's a lot to pick from. Let's do the black cats. A lot of people have black cats, and they love their black kitties. I'm one of them, so let's do black cats.
All right, we will absolutely do that. Why are black cats such potent symbols of Halloween? Woo! Along with the witch in flight and grinning jack-o'-lanterns, the black cat in full arched back fright mode is among the iconic symbols of Halloween. Even to this day, who doesn't feel a little charge when a black cat streaks across one's path, especially on Halloween? Cats have been variously worshipped or reviled throughout human history, but they have almost always been seen as magical and otherworldly. Contrary to popular opinion, cats were domesticated in Mesopotamia even earlier than in Egypt, at least 14,000 years ago. Think about that. Cats were domesticated 14,000 years ago. And wild cats lived among humans as long ago as 100,000 years ago.
That's insane.
Zowie. So cats have been weaving their dual spell of mystery and practicality for as long as there have been modern humans. Ooh, look at all those pictures.
Look at those kitties. Yeah. Oh, look at those bats. You got that going on.
All right. The Egyptians domesticated cats to keep their storehouses free of rodents at least 4,000 years ago, but they also worshipped a cat-headed goddess named Bastet, or pasht, and fashioned statues, jewelry, and household items in her feline honor. As extensions of the beloved Bastet, cats were so revered in ancient Egypt that it was illegal to export them, and killing a cat was punishable by death.
Whoa.
When a family cat died, householders shaved off their eyebrows. Where did that come from? As an expression of deep mourning. I'm in mourning. Shave off my eyebrows.
Shave off the eyebrows.
Wow.
It's
In Greek
morning
mythology,
time.
Hecate was the goddess of witchcraft, magic, ghosts, crossroads. Wow, all fitting for Halloween. And her priestess was a woman who had been transformed into a cat. Interesting piece of trivia. The Roman equivalent of Hecate was called trivia. I love that. The cat was also sacred to Freya, Norse goddess of beauty, love, marriage, and the dead. When Freya came to claim the dead for her own, she charged through the firmament in a chariot drawn by cats. Well, that was odd looking. Look, a chariot drawn by cats. What's that meant? Coming to pick up the dead. Bring out your dead.
I can't even get my cat to do anything. How is it pulling chariots?
Meow. I don't know. All right, then it gets real Halloweeny. The Celts and their priest class, the Druids, believed cats were transformed evil humans. At the Samhain bonfires of November 1st, cats were often tossed into the flame.
Oh, is that where Cat on a Hot Tin Roof comes from?
Maybe. That was not friendly at all. Ultimately, what made cats great hunters and colors of the rodent population, stealth, speed, freakish agility, nocturnal habits, and coolly independent, also brought suspicion upon them. Oh, so it's turning dark for the dark cats.
It is.
Then came the association with witches. Cats became seen as the ultimate witch's familiar, lurking about, gathering intel, magnifying the witch's powers, even lending a bone or two to potions and spells. Cats came to be further demonized when the church began co-opting or vilifying pagan customs and symbols in their ongoing conversion efforts throughout medieval Europe. Witches were a threat to the power of the church, so the church said that the witch's power came from Satan. Samhain got co-opted into All Saints' Day. Cats were simply killed in huge numbers. 12th century Pope Gregory IX declared the cat to be a diabolical creature.
Oh, not a good day to be a cat.
God, no. And
No.
my pronunciation will be off, but I believe it's Ypres, Belgium. It's a city in Belgium. A parade is still held in May to commemorate a tradition from the Middle Ages where cats were thrown from the belfry tower.
Oh my gosh.
Of the Cloth Hall to the town square below. Cats were burned by dozens in France. Burning cats were chased down the street for sport. People thought it was hilarious to torture the stealthy.
That is so horrible.
It's awful. Satanic creeps. That's what they were thought to be.
Wow.
In Middle-aged Europe.
The Humane Society would have something to say to those people.
They are choking as we speak. Many have argued that the death of so many cats allowed the rodent population to thrive, and that the fleas these vermin carried brought about the bubonic plague. Aha. In your face, karma, bubonic plague of 1348. There seems little doubt that a decrease in the cat population would result in an increase in the number of mice and rats, and there was such a decrease in the number of cats prior to 1348 because the cat was seen as evil. All kinds of frightening powers were attributed to it by the writers of the day. Its teeth were said to be venomous, its flesh poisonous, its hair lethal, causing suffocation. Oh, my God. And its breath infectious, destroying human lungs and causing consumption. Dang. This was from 1348.
Yeah,
and further states, as late as 1658, Edward Topsell, in his serious work on natural history, wrote, "The familiars of witches do most ordinarily appear in the shape of cats, which is an argument that this beast is dangerous to soul and body."
Man, they really did not like cats.
Poor kitties. In this environment, a fondness for cats became suspicious in and of itself. Elderly women who cared for cats were especially susceptible to punishment for witchcraft on those grounds. Finally, Why black cats? No one knows exactly, other than the obvious that black is the color of night and mystery. But one theory holds that since cats are nocturnal, they tend to be seen at night. And at night, especially from a distance, all cats look black. Ooh. Regardless, the black cat embodies all the mystery, otherworldliness, and deep cultural history of Halloween.
Would have been a bad time to be a cat lady, man. I'm just telling you.
Just
saying. Or a cat person. Because men out there love them too. Wow, that is crazy. We have to run a break. We come back. We will cover either more of this or go into headlines. It's really an Eric choice moment. So we'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Yeah, hi. I'd like to report a bear sighting.
Location.
My backyard.
Oh, your backyard. Try telling a bear that.
I did, and this bear talked back.
Talking bear, that's rich.
No, wait, it was Smokey Bear.
Smokey. Why didn't you say so?
I did say so.
Continue.
I was burning yard waste.
No, boy.
He told me to burn legally and responsibly, and to remember that if it's too hot to touch, it's too hot to leave.
And as always, he's right. You know, 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans. That means 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented.
Yeah, I know that now.
Thanks to me.
Actually, thanks to Smokey.
As usual, the talking bear gets all the credit. Get your Smokey on. Always burn responsibly and contact your local fire department for open burning regulations. Because 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented. Brought to you by Smokey Bear, the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council. Learn more at smokeybear.com. Only you can prevent wildfires.
Northern Tool and Equipment.
I got a rather serious problem over here.
All right, what are we looking at?
Cranky mother-in-law asleep on the couch in the man cave.
Dear God.
It gets worse.
That's impossible.
She's passed out on the remote.
I stand corrected.
What do I do?
Okay, I want you to grab a Torrin Big Red hydraulic bottle jack.
Okay.
Now you wedge that bad boy in under your mother-in-law and crank her up skyward.
It's working. And got the remote.
Great. Now grab that Torrin Big Red 2-ton folding shop crane and put that woman on wheels.
And away we go.
There's no problem a little horsepower can't solve. Northern Tool and Equipment.
Welcome back to After Hours AM, everybody. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis, right along with me,
Eric Olson.
Hi, Eric. We are covering all the symbolism of Halloween, and black cats got a bad rap. And, of course, ghosts, they're running around, running amok during the in-between time of the year.
Amok.
They're running amok and having a good time, but the flaming cat still takes the cake. I can't believe they're chasing him down the road. Come here,
Chasing him
kitty.
down the road, cackling up
Poor,
the
poor kitty.
I know, it
Poor
sucks.
kitty. That would really be a bad time to be a cat. Okay, where you want to do one more? Should we do
Yeah, let's do one more.
pumpkins? Should we do pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns, or where would you like to go?
Well, we certainly can. I was going to say maybe talk about the lost art of divination because
Yes.
it's something that's no longer associated really with Halloween.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do the lost art of divination, shall we?
All right, let's talk about that. All right. Here we are amidst the noisy, colorful pop cultural extravaganza that is contemporary Halloween in America. However, an element central to the extended history of Halloween, centuries, all the way back to pre-Christian Celtic celebration of Samhain, has virtually been lost, and that is the art of divination. Most people don't, What are you talking about? Halloween? Divination? So central were rites and customs of divination, especially regarding matters of the heart, to the celebration of Halloween, that the cover of the Book of Halloween, Ruth Edna Kelly's classic history of the holiday, published in 1919, 100 years ago almost, depicts an owl perched on a jack-o'-lantern asking, who Who? Don't you wish you knew? Doctor, lawyer, merchant, chief, rich man, poor man, beggar man, thief. In fact, until the second half of the 20th century, when Halloween became primarily a children's costume pageant and sugar stockpiling safari through the neighborhood, celebration of Halloween was mostly about games and rituals offering hints of the future, especially among unattached young people yearning for clues as to their future mates. That's what Halloween was all about until recent times.
Interesting. Well, I did not know that. That has been something that we've lost throughout the years of Halloween, then, is the divination part of it.
Yeah, and let's try to figure out why that might be. In ancient Celtic times, Samhain was celebrated on November 1st and was considered the beginning of the new year, always a time for prognostication. The sacred fire of the old year was extinguished. A new fire was lit in the altar. Sparks were passed on to light ceremonial hilltop fires. In Ireland, where perhaps the veil between worlds has always been thinnest, the altar was on the hill of Ward in Meath, where sacrifices, especially black sheep, were burned in the new fire. From the death struggles of the creatures, omens for the year ahead were gleaned. Thousands of years later, as related in Kelly's 1919 book, an Irish Halloween divination ritual involved a meal of colcannon, mashed potatoes, parsnips, and chopped onions. A ring was burned in the colcannon, and the one who found it would be married within the year, or if already married, would have a particularly good luck. Also buried in the dish might be a coin, a thimble, meaning spinsterhood, ooh, boo, or a doll, meaning children. A variation on the theme found a ring and nut baked into a cake. The ring meant impending marriage. The nut indicated that its finder would marry a widow or widower. If the nut was withered, no marriage was prophesied. Uh-oh. Wah, wah.
You lose. Thank you.
Yeah, no soup for you. Another Irish nut test involved burning 3 nutshells named for a girl and 2 sweethearts. If one of the sweetheart shells burns at the same rate as the girl's, that love would be compatible with and faithful to her. Not sure what they did if all 3 shells burned together. Or a girl might melt lead in a spoon and pour it into cold water. The shape each blob took in the water suggested the occupation of the future husband of the girl, which is usually a very subjective undertaking.
Watch the couch, meaning he's unemployed. He just sits around all day. You get a lazy man.
A little unemployment card, all embossed and everything. Whoa, where'd that come from? On the male side of the soothsaying aisle, hemp seed was sown across 3 furrows, with the sower repeating, "Hemp seed, I saw thee. Hemp seed, I saw thee. And her that is my..." Oh, all this convoluted grammar. "And her that is to be my true love, come after me and draw thee." Looking back over his shoulder, he might see the apparition of his future wife gathering hemp. Boy, that's complicated. No. More elaborate still, a party of 12 could learn their fortune by gathering a clod of earth from a churchyard and setting 12 candles, one for each in the party, in the clod. The fortune of each would be like that of the candle lit in their name, steady, wavering, or soon eclipsed by darkness. Oh, man. Wow. If one was really committed on Halloween, one could go out alone and unperceived to a south-running brook, dip a shirt sleeve in it, bring it home, hang it by the fire to dry. If lucky, one might catch a glimpse of a destined mate come to turn the shirt to dry the other side before midnight. Wow, spooky stuff.
That is some very spooky stuff. That's scary. Downright scary is what that is.
Similar prognosticating shenanigans in 18th century Scotland was described by Robert Burns. The single and unengaged went out hand in hand and blindfolded to the cabbage patch. They pulled the first stalk they came upon, brought it back to the house, and were unbandaged. The size and shape of the stalk indicated the appearance of the future husband or wife. "You look like a cabbage!" This ritual was thought to be particularly effective if the cabbage was stolen from the garden of an
ill-gotten cabbage on top of it.
Exactly, from an unmarried person, which seems like adding insult to injury.
Kind of is. You're not married, so you don't need this cabbage anyway.
And the English, in turn, had a thing for the walnut tree. We won't go into the details of that. More convoluted prognostication around a walnut tree. Sometimes the stakes were even higher than marriage or good fortune. On the Isle of Man in the Irish Sea between England and Ireland, the curious filled a thimble with salt and poured it carefully into a little pile on a plate. If the heap was found fallen over by morning, the person it represented was doomed to die within the year.
Doomed, I tell you. Doomed. You're all doomed.
Wow, that wasn't really very friendly at all. All right. Finally, we come to a vestige of Halloween divination we might actually recognize: bobbing for apples.
Ah, yes.
Of the apple symbolizing the often slippery pursuit of love. Recall that in It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, first aired in 1966, more than 50 years ago now, the kids bob for apples at their Halloween party. Don't see a lot of that anymore.
So you don't see a whole lot of apple bobbing anymore.
No, not these days. Apple seeds were used in yet another test. A pair of seeds named for the two potential lovers were stuck on the brow or eyelids. The one that stays stuck longer represents the true lover. Women would also pare apples and throw the peels over their shoulders in the hope that the peels would land in the shape of their future husband's initials. Most of these traditions migrated with immigrants from the British Isles to America between the 17th and 19th centuries. Why did divination fall by the wayside as a key component of Halloween celebration in America by mid-20th century? Perhaps it was too real. Gaining an insight into the future may sound beguiling, but it can also be scary as hell. As in real world scary, not Halloween scary. Halloween has become more about artifice, becoming someone or something else by wearing a costume for the evening, watching a scary movie or TV show for vicarious thrills, decorating lavishly using the symbols of the season, and of course, the treats. But divination has real life implications and reminds us that not too long ago, spirits interfering with the lives of the living and witches casting damaging spells on the crops or stealing a baby or two were very real, terrifying concerns. It's much easier if it's all pretend.
That is right. Now you can.
There you go.
You can catch all these articles if you're so inclined at America's Most Haunted. Just kind of search them out a little bit. Lost Art Divination, the articles
Halloween
there.
Section.
Yep, a whole section dedicated to Halloween. Just look it up, and you can read these in their entirety for yourself.
You surely can, my friends.
And again,
there are many more.
There's a ton more, a whole lot more than we can cover tonight. Check it out. Eric also covers Christmas, Easter, New Year's, all of the major holidays. They all have a strange history about them, so you're going to want to read all that. We will be covering more of that as we go along. As the holidays approach, look for us to cover maybe Christmas, of course, and the New Year and things such as that. So check that out again, America's-most-haunted.com for all those articles. Shifting gears, Eric. Everybody fire up your yay old Twitter over there and search out America's Most Haunted, AM Haunted, for all you cool kids out there with that side from it. And follow along with these headlines. Again, that's America's Most Haunted Twitter feed. Uber Twitter. You don't even have to be a member of Twitter, but it'd be a whole lot cooler if you were, you know what I'm saying? So why don't you follow us out right on over here.
Absolutely. What he said.
That's right, baby. I'm smooth as silk. What can I say?
All right. So we've already mentioned haunted houses as very potent symbols of Halloween.
I live in one, so yes.
So close your eyes. What in your mind's eye does the classic haunted house look like?
A rundown old huge estate with a peaked roof and a window up top. So if you look up, you can see a ghost peering at you from the attic.
Perfect. Exactly correct. And another description for what you just said would be a Victorian mansion.
That's right. So that's what we all picture as the Victorian mansion. Scaring the hell out of us since Victorian times. Thank you very much.
Yes, exactly. Actually, since the 20s, as this article says. So it's really quite fascinating. How did Victorian mansions become the default haunted house?
Hey, dog, settle down. I have my pup here in studio. Otherwise, if I let her roam around the house unattended, she will destroy everything. So I do apologize for any barking you may hear. She is only 6 months old, after all. Still getting used to being in a house with me.
And being a dog.
Yeah. Still trying to figure all that out. So there you go. So if you hear any of that going on, it's just the dog in the studio.
We got it. No probs. So picture that haunted house. Cool article. Click through. It's on the JSTOR site, which is kind of an interesting it's where the news meets what do they call it? Where the news meets academia, basically. So it's digs real seriously into the kind of the underlying scholarly truths in the news. Exactly. And this article is called "How Victorian Mansions Became the Default."
How they became vogue.
Exactly. Very interesting stuff. Basically what happened was by the 20s, everyone was just burnt out and sick of everything to do with the Victorian era. Modernism was in just full-blown in art, in architecture, and everything else. Everything from the past, the old past, that led to World War I, the hideous World War I. I forget how many deaths in that, but hundreds of thousands. All of that. They just rejected it. So everything Victorian, and this was in Europe and in America, especially in America. It was like we want an American era. We were rejecting Europe and the past. And so modernism was in, and anything Victorian, including Victorian mansions, were turned into negative symbols. And in the case of Victorians, because so many were abandoned, they became a very spooky place where it was very easy to picture ghosts reside.
I think everybody has one of those in their town somewhere that looks spooky. Victorians are very popular, especially during the 20s, like you had said. And a lot of them have fallen into disrepair, and mainly because, they're just not as popular as they once were.
Exactly. Well, they're large and, expensive to utilities, and, not that many people can afford that much space these days, and most people would rather put their money elsewhere. And if people want some big old huge McMansion, it will typically not be Victorian.
Exactly. So, cut it out.
All right, moving along. Last night, Wednesday night, was the Hunter's Moon, the last full moon before Halloween, and we got some amazing images. I have the one I used is this incredible very orangey, Halloween-y looking full moon, captured with a jetliner, an airliner flying across it. It's pretty amazing.
I was gonna say, is that a Boeing going across the harvest moon?
Of course it is.
It's not a witch on a broom. No, we get a Boeing. This haunting image brought to you by Boeing. When you think of death, think of Boeing.
Well, I'll tell you what. When you think of flight, don't think of witches on brooms. Think of something you can actually get inside that will ferry you across the sky.
Exactly.
All right, next image. I love our next tweet. I just love this. This is a real street called Horror Hill Lane.
I would love to live on that street. Horror Hill Lane. That'd be great.
And there's a little indication on the sign, PVT. It's private. Stay out.
You're not invited. No soup for you. No soup.
Yeah. Horror Hill, go away. And, of course, the caption is, where no sitcom is ever aired.
No. I mean, Mockingbird Lane, sure, 1313 Mockingbird Lane, but no Horror Hill private lane.
No, absolutely not. There will be no sitcoms.
No.
So it's just a cool image of the street sign, basically, with a little bit of the street behind it.
Yep, I'm looking at that. That looks super duper cool.
Moving along. This one is also primarily an image. I think just an astonishing image in and of itself, but it's also so symbolic. We have now you know a lot more about cars. Is that a 50s car?
Yeah, it looks like a 1950s. Oh, I think it's a Chevy. Yeah, I'm trying to gauge it by the grill there. Yeah, that's a Chevy. That's an old Chevy.
All right, from the 50s.
Yep.
And obviously it was abandoned long ago.
A long time ago. In fact, there's a tree growing out of it.
Really long time ago.
I would not want to pay that parking ticket.
No. Because there's not just a tree. There's a large tree.
It's quite the tree that's growing around this car.
Growing up through where the engine block would have been.
Mm-hmm. Right through the engine cabin. Yep.
So there you go. And of course, the caption is, one day, My owner will return.
One day, just kind of drive away.
Been sitting there for 60 years.
Yeah. That's a crazy picture.
So yeah, I love that. So it's just both an amazing image in and of itself, and it's quite potent symbolically, is it not?
It is. It conjures up people not taking care of vehicles.
All right, this next one you really do kind of have to see.
Oh, it's so cute.
All right, it's a teeny tiny black kitten that's wearing a little orange and black ribbon, but most importantly, a hood over its head and eyes in the shape of a pumpkin. Mm-hmm. So it's a little cute, furry black kitty with the pumpkin head, and yet his thoughts are, "I'll scratch your eyes out."
I'm not that cute. I'm really deadly.
No, I'm fierce. I am the knight.
Yep, he is the knight. That would be that's an accurate representation of the fear that is in my heart. Looking at that cat, exactly. I am nothing but a gelatinous bowl of fear right now.
Gelatinous, sorry. Wow, I can just
shaking with
it's
fear.
The jiggle.
Yes, shaking with fear.
All right, usually when we see images in the old Twitter feed, because people love the abandoned stuff,
do.
Old, eerie
They love crap that's been left behind.
Fallen apart for hundreds, or even thousands of years. So usually castles are eventually abandoned and or fall apart.
It's the upkeep, man. It's the upkeep.
Oh, it's so expensive.
It's always
Think about
upkeep.
it. Think about it. Unless you're running
bills.
tours or something. Yeah. Heating, cooling, tours.
Oh, yeah. It'd kill you. It'd kill you.
Just cleaning, all of it. So, unless it's turned into some sort of tourist location or like a haunted destination, it's just too expensive.
If I would have won, though, really quickly, if I would have won the Mega Millions, I would have bought myself a castle.
Yeah, that would have been cool. All right, now I don't speak Welsh well at all, and all those vowels and weird uses of W's as a vowel and whatnot just drives me insane. But this castle is really quite amazing, and what's so cool about it is it's coming back. It is being refurbished, and they've been working long and hard on it, and they're going to keep going till it's all the way back. And this is a classic-looking medieval castle. This isn't just a big building, a big house that they call a castle. This is the real McCoy, and it's in Wales, and it's spelled Gwrych. So I don't know, Gurwitch, something like that.
Yeah, that's what I get out of that. Yeah.
Castle, and they're working hard on it, and they're going to keep going till it is fully restored. So yay them.
You go, guys, and enjoy those heating bills.
Very interesting. This is the 50th anniversary of Rosemary's Baby, one of the top 5 horror movies of all time.
It still holds up today. It's a freaky film.
It is horrifying. It is really scary, and conceptually scary. And so well acted, so well directed, so well written, so well made. What's interesting is in this 50th anniversary, they put out they've cleaned it up yet again, the refurbish, and it's not coming to theaters, I guess, but it's available on the various digital outlets. So, but for the marketing for this 50th anniversary, they never even mention the director, Roman Polanski's name. He is completely left out of the marketing.
Wait, why?
Me too.
Oh, come on. I mean, I get it. I mean, he's still wanted technically. He still can't come back to the States.
No, he can't.
Because he's never been brought to justice. There are statute of limitations and da-da-da. But, really? I mean, the guy
They don't even mention his name.
Isn't that just a little strange to you?
It's very strange, and it doesn't make any sense because obviously, ultimately, the director is the most important person on any given film.
He's the guy that made it what it is.
It's his vision.
No, but you know that he's going to be getting royalties, so he probably don't care. He's probably laughing over the bed because we all know who made that film.
I know. It's just the point is, it's been brought up as an issue now that they completely left him out, and the question is that right? You know, does that make sense? Is that
I would say no, because the precedent is for the last 50 years he's been synonymous with that movie. You know, everybody knows who made the movie, Roman Polanski, and it's stupid to even try to leave him out because he's so iconic and so tied to it.
It's one of the very few horror movies to have won Academy Awards, which it did.
Yeah, that and Silence of the Lambs are the two most popular ones for the Academy that did real well.
Right.
And so that's just insanity. You know what? That's just, I get it. And whatever your personal feelings are on Roman Polanski's life and what he did, that's your business. And of course, hey, you know what? It's horrible. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not, but also you have to give the credit where the credit is due for the art.
Well, you can't rewrite history.
No, that's just it. I mean, if you truly wanted to get nitpicky, you'd have to go to the forefathers because most of them had mistresses. Okay,
right?
Or slaves. Yeah. So you'd have to erase
slave mistresses.
Yeah, you'd have to erase pretty much everything at that point. You know, if you want to go that crazy on it, which I did hear some people did want to go that crazy.
I know. And you know, without getting into the politics of it, there's certainly a line. There's a difference between the telling of history and the celebration of history. And that's fine. Do not celebrate evil where it has reared its ugly head in the past.
I agree.
That doesn't mean you can't erase history, though. So you know, celebrate it, but don't erase it.
It's a feeble attempt to, you know, make a statement, is what it is. And it's feeble in my mind. You know what? Just you could put an asterisk next to his name. I don't care. Everybody knows. Everybody knows who made that film. Stop being morons. You're not making yourself look any smarter.
All right, moving on real quickly here because these next two go together. Really long, relatively long, very serious article about why candy corn doesn't suck.
Candy corn is one of those candies that have gotten a bad rap. It does not microwave very well, so don't try it. It really will hurt you.
All right, the next one that's why I wanted to get these two together. There's yet another survey. You know, every year they do surveys. And these are, according to this survey, the 10 most hated Halloween candy.
Good and Plenty's on there, huh? You see them at the theater all the time. I would have thought they would have been popular.
Well, as I've said many times, I'm not that big a sweets eater in general, and I'm really not that big a candy eater. But, you know, Halloween rolls around. I'm going to bust out a few here and there. Yeah. I like Smarties. I've always liked Smarties.
I don't mind a good Smartie.
How can Smarties be in the top 10 worst candy? I don't get that at all.
No, black licorice, you can keep that. I'm not a black licorice fan, but any other licorice, I'm down with that.
And do really that many people hate Tootsie Rolls?
I know, Tootsie Rolls, they love Tootsie Rolls. They give those things out, you know, like candy.
On Halloween.
On Halloween.
All right, so here they are, real quick. In order from 10 to 1, most hated Halloween candy. Mary Jane's, number 10. Good and Plenty, 9. Licorice, 8. Smarties, 7. Tootsie Rolls, 6. Peanut Butter Kisses, 5. Nico Wafers, 4.
Like
Wax
those.
Cola bottles,
yeah,
3. I don't like those.
No.
Candy Corn, 2. And Circus Peanuts, number 1.
Well, Circus Peanuts are not very good. I do have to agree with that. They do really suck. You can't even microwave them very well.
No.
I'll tell you why I brought that up really quickly. You do not want to microwave.
You're big on that. You're big on the microwave.
I am, because I microwave candy corn. I want to make it into candy corn syrup. It doesn't work that way. It bursts into flames is what it does. You don't want to do it. Just don't do it.
That is funny.
It's like the grain alcohol of candy. It's flammable as all hell.
That is hilarious. All right, do we have time for any more?
We got 2 minutes left. Bunch of bust went out on us.
All right. Have you heard about this yet another cannibalistic clown monster movie?
Oh, no, I have not heard about this one. It's a brand new one.
Crepitus.
Oh, Crepitus?
crepitus. Like
gotcha.
crepitude.
Gotcha. Okay. So is this going to be a Netflix deal, or is this going to be a straight to video?
No, it's out, and it's showing at some festival. Let's see. Which festival is it going to be at? I think this will be the first time that it's actually been shown. And the guy playing Crepitus is Bill Moseley. You probably know him.
Oh, yeah, I know Bill Moseley. In fact, we had him before you came aboard, we had him on the show.
Did you?
We did. Devil's Rejects. We had him on the show to talk about his acting job in both Devil's Rejects and Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, Part 2.
Woo!
So, yeah.
He's Crepitus, a flesh-eating monster who wreaks havoc on a family of displaced women. And he will be shown at the Spooky Empire Film Festival, and that's down in Orlando.
Very, cool. Very, very cool. We got to get out of here, man. We had just enough time to cover that last one. When we come back, we're going to be taking a trip to the museum, the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after these words.
Hi, Tom Bodette. If you can hear me, then you have an internet connection, which means you can do cool things online, like listen to streaming radio, obviously, or watch a video of a monkey washing a cat. Let your freak flag fly. Or you can book a room at a great price at Motel6.com. Isn't the internet wonderful? Everything you want right at your fingertips, and whoa, did not need to see that. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. I paid more than the minimum each month, and soon enough, it was gone.
So you're just giving up?
Giving up on what?
The life of luxury. Egyptian cotton, caviar Thursdays, designer everything.
What are you talking about?
Our plan. What happened to winning the lottery and mastering the art of the perfect mimosa? Hosting galas, wearing enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacationing in the French Riviera, and then buying it.
I just thought maybe it was time to prepare for my future. You know, set some financial goals, make some smart investments, open a 401k.
Financial goals? Investments? A 401k? You are horrifying right now. Listen, if winning the lottery were easy, everyone would do it.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Northern Tool and Equipment.
So me and the boys head out to tailgate today and find some other fans in our spot.
Well, it happens.
Cheering for the wrong team.
Oh, this is war.
Even worse, they've got this couch set up and everything.
A couch?
Yeah, it's sectional.
All right, first thing, don't ever use the word sectional again.
Done.
Second, I want you to grab a 4,700-pound tow chain with J-hook and grab hammer. Throw that on the back of your truck.
Got it.
Now you're going to Hail Mary the J-hook over the end of that couch. Time to find a better spot for your new friends.
That should do it.
There's no problem a little horsepower can't solve. Northern Tool and Equipment.
Taking a family of 5 to the amusement park can cost a small fortune.
Oh, yeah. So to save some money, we thought, hey, let's bring the amusement park to us. Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. Step right up, young man. Are you ready to ride the Wacky Waterfall?
That's just the bathtub with the shower head running.
Nope, it's the Wacky Waterfall.
It's the shower, Dad.
Waterfall.
Wacky.
There's an easier way to save. To get a free rate quote, go to geico.com. Then buy online, over the phone, or at your local Geico office.
Green light. Hey, girl. School zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on 2 things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
And welcome back to After Hours AM, everybody. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me, as always,
Eric Olson.
Eric. We are talking something really cool. The Buckland Museum of Witchcraft, man. I have been interested in talking to these two all day because I was kicking around the website. But I will step aside. All day, man. All day. I'm like a kid at Christmas. I really am. I'm looking up at the lights going, what are you coming, you big fat bastard, down my chimney? Oh. Sorry, I went a little visual that one, didn't I?
It's a different holiday.
It is a different holiday, but it all ties together, really, at the end, right? Come on.
You're right.
Come on, it all
We've
does.
discussed that many times.
We have.
The blending of Halloween into Christmas.
It is. There's a big blending, but I will step aside and let you blend your way through this introduction.
Alrighty then. Cleveland's Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magic features artifacts from the collection of one of the founders of Wicca in the 20th century, Raymond Buckland, along with contributions from many other luminaries of the craft and contextual popular culture items, assembled with the mission to display the tools and imagery of witchcraft and magic while celebrating the First Amendment and the power of outsider art. Raymond Buckland started the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magic in 1966 after visiting the late Gerald Gardner and his collection on the Isle of Man, which we just mentioned a while ago. Raymond was inspired to start a collection of his own. While working for British Airways, he was able to acquire many of the artifacts in this collection from all around the world. He initially displayed his museum on a few shelves in the basement of his Long Island home. However, over time, Raymond's witchcraft collection rapidly swelled. It swelled and inflated to well over 500 artifacts ranging from ancient Egyptian Ushabtis, I was going to get it, Ushabtis, to documented artifacts from the Salem witch trials. This was the very first museum of its kind in the United States with an anthropological approach to the world of folklore and the supernatural. The museum was in existence for 10 years. In this New York location, during that time, it was featured in numerous magazines and newspaper articles, was the subject of a television documentary. The New York Times, the Post, Newsday, Look Magazine, Cosmopolitan, on and on and on, including foreign magazines that feature the articles about the museum. Raymond was also interviewed on a large number of radio stations, national and international television. The Metropolitan Museum of Art requested and featured some of the pieces in one of its special exhibits. In 1976, Raymond Buckland moved to New Hampshire, where he opened the museum from 77 to 80. Unfortunately, because of a rigorous writing and a lecture schedule, he then had to place the museum collection into storage, what remained for a number of years good to no one but the rodents. The museum collection was briefly reestablished in New Orleans in 1999, where it passed through multiple hands before being salvaged by Reverend Velvet Wreath. Now, that's a name.
That's a great name.
Bit damaged and somewhat reduced collection, Velvet was instrumental in preventing the collection from degrading further and being lost. In July of 2015, the museum collection was relocated to Ohio and is now displayed in the newly founded Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magic. The Buckland collection includes artifacts from, oh my goodness, so many names that I'm not going to name them, but among them, Gerald Gardner, and obviously Raymond Buckland, Lady Rowan, Aleister Crowley, ooh, there's a name, Anton LaVey, Sybil Leek, I know all those names, and many, 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 many more. Who owns and runs this fine establishment, my friends? Stephen Intermill and Gillian Slane. Stephen, curator of the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magic, too, has long been fascinated by the history of the American occult, an interest he has been studying for over 30 years. His favorite thing about the museum is the ability to get lost in Raymond Buckland's archives. The collection of letters, receipts, and general media gives incredible glimpse into the modern occult scene and its revival. Who is Gillian? She's the director of the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magic. She's a nature lover and a museum nerd who has experience as an exhibit project manager and designer, fundraiser, marketer, and graphic designer. She has worked at several art museums around the country and thinks Cleveland is the best place for a museum of this kind at this time. Her favorite thing about the museum is when people come in unsure, but leave enlightened. Welcome to the program, Stephen and Gillian.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome, guys. Definitely a great location, great museum. Eric was telling me all about it, and I was looking up some stuff, and wow, I got to tell you, Buckland, man, he was the man. I mean, he brought it over here. He was one of the forefathers of the movement, the witchcraft and magic movement.
Yeah, he really was. He was a really interesting person. And the one thing that I really love about Buckland the most is it wasn't just he was hung up about witchcraft. He had a lot of interests that spun around a lot of different things. So truly like a very well-rounded individual. And one of those things, he was just really into spreading Wicca across America.
Did he have a mission? I mean, was there a reason behind it? I mean, or just a drive to share his passion and what he loved?
It was a drive to share the passion. It was also a drive, he had a day job, and I think he had a dream of breaking out of that, so he became a writer. And I think this had a lot to do with it. I think he saw a need. He was like, I could write about this stuff because I know all about it, so why don't I just do that?
He also wanted to educate people, teach people about Wicca, about the craft, because he didn't want, he got some harassment at times for being a witch. So he wanted to let people know, that it wasn't all bad.
Yeah.
So, that was important to him as well.
Well, yeah, because pop culture, that they'd all want us to believe that they're standing around cauldrons and boiling children, witches. Well,
So we had an opening here at this museum. There were about 300 people, and I turned to him very proud. I'm like so excited. I'm like, Buck, did you have this kind of opening when you launched your museum? He was like, Steven, some people enjoyed it. Then some people set my car on fire. I mean, we're talking a true trailblazer of just so much stuff that we all just take for granted now. It's you couldn't just be a witch with a museum and not have people bug you back then. Now it's no problem.
So far, so good.
It was great up until the car got burned. After that, stuff got real.
He was a car nut too, so I'm sure that drove him crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did he get involved with Wicca or witchcraft? Wasn't he one of the first to use the term Wicca? How did he get involved in the first place?
Well, that would have been Gerald Gardner. He became a huge fan of Gardner, and right around when he was starting getting interested, he moved to the United States. And then he moves to the United States, and he starts working for British Airways, and he's really making the first dough that he ever really made in his life, like significantly. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I really need a hole to fill.
Yeah.
Maybe it's witchcraft. So he starts really corresponding with Gerald Gardner and Gerald Gardner's high priestess, Monique Wilson. And then they invite him over to over to Perth, Scotland to be initiated into Wicca. And he goes over there, he gets his initiation, and he comes home, and he's like all fired up to spread it across America.
Well, how did he get all this stuff? Did he have to go to different places to buy it? I mean, how did he acquire all this?
Well, he was working for British Airways, so he could fly easily to various places, I'm sure cheaply. But also, things were donated. A lot of things are from friends or, other Wiccans that just kind of, he would ask them and they would send something. It's still kind of the same way it goes now. We'll ask someone and they'll, hey, consider donating something. And, usually people want to have something, kept here forever.
Man, I wish people donate stuff to us, Eric. We only get a piece of their mind once in a while. That's it. It's never the nice piece.
Send that gin over here.
Don't you guys get haunted objects donated to you?
Well, they offer it. They offer it to us.
One's enough.
One is plenty, yeah.
Yeah, we have not taken them up on said offers.
Would you take that haunted doll off our hands? Let me think about it. No.
No, I'm good. See, now, what's funny is I have a long-running phobia of haunted dolls. And so the audience, they think it's really funny to offer them up to me. Like, hey, you want that doll? It has your name all... No, I'm good. No, you keep it right where it is.
Dolls are creepy.
It is a little creepy. It gets a little creepy at times. But, you guys, I'm sure, have tons of haunted objects in that museum.
Only one, and one's enough.
Oh.
Well, they're not... Yeah, we have one haunted, but the rest are... Yeah, there's a lot of energy that comes along with it because a lot of these items were used in rituals.
Okay.
And so, there's just heavy vibes when you come in here.
There is an affirmate that we have a very dubious provenance on that our partner in all this, the wonderful Tony in Columbus, Ohio, she's convinced has got some, really intense vibes too.
Something bad happened with that knife. It killed someone.
Oh, well, so it's a murder weapon, is what it is.
Oh, don't get us shut down.
It's pure speculation, my friend.
Yeah, that's for Wednesday night show, the true crime show.
There's a couple other pieces that Tony reminds us have some things going on with them.
Yeah.
And me, I just want to talk about the cool newspaper clippings we have, the wonderful artifacts, and just go ahead with that.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, what's it like, the wee hours of the morning, you guys are in the museum by yourself? Does it get a little strange?
Well, we're in here right now. We thought it'd be better to broadcast live from the museum and not from our house. And it's pretty great. We've got the light on the box. All the lights are off except for the cases. And
it's very, very comfortable.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I don't know how comfortable I'd be, but you guys are around it all the time.
All right, so we've kind of beaten around the bush on this. Tell us about your haunted object, and are we allowed to say the name across the global airwaves?
I don't know, man.
Bring about the apocalypse.
Yeah, right. Well, they're opening a Divic box live on air. Why can't we do this?
I was thinking about that, and I thought, what? That's ridiculous. And that, what? I know nothing about the Divic box. I know nothing about its keepers, but all I know is, are ratings that important that you're willing, Come on, sometimes you got to draw the line. And
but it has brought up to me since we talked about it the first hour, Eric, that it very likely could be a replica of the box.
Okay.
It could be.
That was something that's brought up because, the Divic,
and then it's fraud.
Replica of the box, open it up. No, who would really know? That kind of thing. So.
No one would know.
Yeah.
Well, we're not opening our box, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's staying shut.
It's
what?
Maybe if Evel Knievel showed up and he was like, I'm gonna jump over this box. Wait, he passed away.
He comes back from the dead.
Yeah, he comes back from the dead.
Zombie Evel Knievel.
First, he comes back from the dead. Then,
all right. So you want to hear about the box?
We got to hear about the box.
All right. So in 1970, Raymond Buckland gets a phone call from a friend of his named Tom. He's a ceremonial magician of some renown, and Tom lives in the Lower East Side of New York, and he wants Buck to come visit. Buck was always down to hang, so he travels down to him, goes to this guy's apartment. I know it's the Lower East Side, so I like to imagine it's the same building that Physical Graffiti, the cover of that record.
Sure, Led Zeppelin, yeah.
Goes over to this guy's place, and his friend closes the door, and he's like, yeah, there's another reason why I asked you to come over. Yeah, I conjured something, and I can't get rid of it.
Oh, well, that's always a great reason to have a dinner party.
Thanks. So Buckland's like, not my demon, not my problem. I gotta go. And his friend's like, no, seriously, I need your help, please. And he begs and pleads. Buck was a very gracious, generous person, and I could see the look in his eye where he was just like, okay, fine.
Box.
He goes home, he gets a collection of grimoires, and he gets to work. He said it took about 3 days, but when they were convinced that this entity was inside the box, They sealed it with incantations and then some framing wire so it doesn't just pop open when he puts it on his shelf. He takes it home, never to be open again. We honor that tradition of not opening it. We have a special case because people would always try to break into the old case. And, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, Jillian. Sorry about that.
And we do get a lot of people that come in, especially like people that are very empathic. Stephen and I are not, so we're lucky. But people that, can feel the energies coming off of it. We get a lot of people that, almost faint or, feel like something is pushing them into the ground, and it's all, related to the box, to the demon over there. So he's still around. He's just not really leaving the area.
He's in the box. He can't leave the box.
But he still has some reach outside of that box.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I was there, and sometimes I think I am somewhat sensitive, although lots of times I just don't seem to be. But no, I didn't really pick up anything in particular, but that doesn't mean anything at all. I've been in many situations where I was the one who didn't pick up on anything at all, and everyone else was freaking out, losing their minds, and barfing in the corner because of the shadow people. And I'm like, huh? What?
Yeah, I'm the same way. What?
Huh?
What are you talking about? What?
Shadow, what?
Yeah, what's that thing? So you got...
For a little bit of psychic neuropathy where I just don't have to engage.
Well, that's probably the best policy right there. Just don't engage. Just ignore the box as you walk by. Don't look at it.
Well, we actually had a seance in here, and the demon was the one that was communicating with us.
Oh.
And the demon said, I want you to pay attention to me. I want, I live here, and you guys don't talk to me. And
he's a needy demon, is what you're saying.
Yes, he's needy. So after that, I would come in and I would, as soon as I walk in, I'd say hello, like, hey, what's going on? And make sure his case was all clean and everything. And that's when he started to act up. He'd get a little power, and so now I ignore him again.
Yeah, I don't text him any longer.
Yeah, no longer BFFs. You don't get together.
Power. He is the absolute ruler of his box.
Yes.
Yeah.
I imagine it's a pretty cool space-age bachelor pad in there.
I would imagine it is. You should have the box X-rayed.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something in there.
He plays a lot of Martin Denny in there.
We would get along very
Steven
well.
would love to be in there then.
Yeah.
Drinking martinis.
He might be the kind of demon that other demons make fun of. You're captured and put in a box. Look at you.
I don't know. But by the great Raven Buckland, so that's
Yeah, that's something.
Right. Before or it's up to you guys if you want to apply it to an artifact there. I thought it'd be really interesting and fun to kind of just run through some of your favorite items or most evocative items or most historical items. But I also want to get at, all right, so here we are. And I know you guys are not practitioners, but you are certainly, obviously, very, very well versed. What is the essence, the very essence of witchcraft, or specifically Wicca? What is it? What makes it work? And in your opinion, is it real? Is it effective? Does it do what it purports to do?
Yeah, absolutely. And what is the essence? I actually underlined something in Buckland's book right here, the big, or the complete book of witchcraft, now in its 50th printing. And it says right here, the main tenet of witchcraft, the Wiccan Rede, is, and at hard none, do what thou wilt. Do what you will, but do not do anything that will harm another. It's as simple as that. So, you could talk about things like energies and stuff like that, but really I think it boils down to just being cool, man, and not...
not being a jerk.
Yeah, don't be a jerk. And also with Wicca especially, that's one of the rules. Witchcraft is a little, on the umbrella term of witchcraft can be a little different.
Gotcha.
But also, they work with, it's earth-based. And so they work with a lot of herbs and, call the elements air, fire, earth, and water. And also, are very in tune with the seasons, base their Sabbats on that. So it is a pagan religion. So,
it's revering the god and goddess of witchcraft.
Revering the god and goddess, yeah.
Gotcha.
Fertility goddess. So it's all that groovy stuff. And of course, you got to turn your back on Satan.
Because Satan doesn't exist.
Could it be Satan? Oh, yeah.
It's all day long I have to sit there and answer the question, so are you guys Satanists? And it's like, how exactly can you be a Satanist if you don't believe in the concept of Satan?
True.
Raymond Buckland, as a Gardnerian, he subscribed to the idea of the pre-Christian witch cult in Europe. And so you're sitting there, you got this horn god that you're into, you got this goddess, and then the Christians show up with their Bible, and they're like, hey, yeah. So there's this book that talks about how terrible, this horn guy is. But you look in the Bible, there's no description of Satan with horns or a tail, any of that stuff. It's all a smear campaign. So
sure, Christians came along and said, your way of doing things is wrong, ours is right. So they bastardized it, made it wrong, they made it evil.
Co-opted all the holidays.
Yep.
We were just talking about that.
Yeah, just talking about that and how Yule is actually, was co-opted by Christians to become Christmas.
Samhain became All Saints Day, and eventually, and then All Saints Eve, and that became Halloween.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Very interesting, though, how they all kind of merged together. And we covered that, about a month ago? We had a witch on, and she explained a lot about that as well, how they merged a lot of them, and they let them keep a couple of Christians. They kind of, like Halloween was one where they said, okay, we'll throw you a bone on that one. That kind of stuff,
All right. Well, you guys have a amazing, fascinating collection. You got a lot of stuff jammed into a rather small space. Isn't it something like only 40% of the collection is up? Did I recall that?
There's a lot more to show. A good chunk of the collection is the archives. Raymond Buckland, some people would call him a pack rat, but I would call him an archivist dream. It's he has so many photographs that he kept, receipts for things, just
date books going back to the 50s.
Yeah,
like he kept every year date books and planners, and so you have a lot of information there.
Yeah.
Kept in the archives right now, which we'd love. Not necessarily to show because that's difficult, but just to make available to people, scholars, as well as maybe online and do some things like that.
So Eric, you came to our space a couple months ago, and did we tell you that we signed a lease for a new place in Old Brooklyn?
No, you did not.
Yes. So in a neighborhood just south of here, we just signed a lease. It's about 3 times the size. We're going to have room for a library. We're going to have room for more interpretation of the artifacts. Because right now it's really just a very fun cabinet of curiosities. But now we can actually maybe have a timeline that you can walk through and really understand the history of magic.
And the demon will get a new home. The demon will be happy. Look at this. I have new digs.
Yeah, a new place to explore.
Moving on up.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be good. That sounds very exciting. You'll get more of the collection, I'm sure, out there so people can look at it.
When's this going to happen?
Well, we're looking to close at the end of December and then reopen hopefully by Valentine's Day.
Wow. Well, that's very ambitious and very soon.
Yeah,
that'll be a soft opening, yeah.
Just to be safe.
Sure, that makes complete sense.
We're going to do a lot of work, so it'll be when we open. So
how much larger a space is it? Just like in 2 times bigger, 3 times bigger, 1.5 times bigger, that kind of thing.
3 times bigger.
3 times, yeah, 3 times the fun.
Yeah.
Well, that will make a huge difference indeed. Hey, one of the things I noticed since we're already, I guess we're at the bottom of the hour.
Yeah, we're going to run to break. We come back. We talk more about the Buckland Museum with Jillian and Stephen. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this.
Northern Tool and Equipment.
So Daddy's little girl thinks she's going to prom tonight with some punk who calls himself Snake.
Yeah, they grow up so fast.
Well, not if I can help it, they don't.
Okay, here's what you do. When that kid shows up, Dad's going to be doing a few chores around the house.
Huh?
It doesn't matter the chore. What's important is that it requires the use of a 60cc gas-powered chainsaw and possibly a mask.
I think it's showtime.
He's here. Dad, I want you to meet...
All right, let her rip.
What's that, honey? Hi, Snake. Great to meet you. But wait, where are you going?
There's no problem a little horsepower can't solve. Northern Tool and Equipment.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Yeah, hi. I'd like to report a bear sighting.
Location.
My backyard.
Oh, your backyard. Try telling a bear that.
I did, and this bear talked back.
Talking bear, that's rich.
No, wait, it was Smokey Bear.
Smokey? Why didn't you say so?
I did say so.
Continue.
I was burning yard waste.
No, boy.
He told me to burn legally and responsibly, and to remember that if it's too hot to touch, it's too hot to leave.
And as always, he's right. 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans. That means 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented.
Yeah, I know that now.
Thanks to me.
Actually, thanks to Smokey.
As usual, the talking bear gets all the credit. Get your Smokey on. Always burn responsibly and contact your local fire department for open burning regulations. Because 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented. Brought to you by Smokey Bear, the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council. Learn more at smokeybear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back to After Hours AM. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis, right along with me,
Eric Olson.
And tonight we're talking about the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft. On the horn, we have Jillian and we have Michael, and they are the proprietors and curators and all things that matter to the Buckland Museum. We just found out the Buckland is moving to much larger locations so they can showcase more of the beautiful and awesome and influential eclectic things that they have, the artifacts. And when we were just leaving, we were talking about what they have there, and of course we covered the demon in the box, so we won't dwell on him too long. But what's the most favorite, what's the draw, what seems to be everyone's favorite artifact in the place?
Jillian?
Well, it's hard to say. Everyone has their own taste, but in the complete book of Witchcraft, Raymond Buckland's magnum opus, affectionately referred to as Big Blue because it has a blue cover. A lot of the ritual items that he has in there, and he actually has instructions on how to make them. We have them in the collection here, like a ceremonial robe and his horn helmet that he had made. Now, the horn helmet's pretty special because Buckland used to tell this story about how he woke up one day, probably around this time of year, and was like, "Oh my goodness, Samhain's coming up. I need a horn helmet. I got to start doing
one.
Stuff. I need a horn helmet. Like the god is taking over the calendar, the horn god." So, Stephen likes to joke that. So he looks in his crystal ball and he sees that Etsy isn't going to be involved for another 40 years, invented for another 40 years. But, he just was like, back then, you had to go make your own stuff. Like, you can't just go to the Witchcraft store. You can't go on Amazon.
Yeah.
So it's he goes to the hardware store and he sees a pile of mixing bowls. He's like, that would fit on my head. So he starts trying some mixing bowls on, and some stock boy walks by and makes fun of him, the crazy English guy putting bowls on his head. And
so he cast him into the pit of hell.
Yeah.
Be gone with you.
And then he finds one like the mythical Goldilocks, finds one that fits just right, and takes it home and puts some horns on it, and it's got a horn helmet.
Is it like a Viking horny, or is it like like
Hagar the Horrible?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But there's this really handsome photo of it in Big Blue, and it's really fun because we'll get a lot of people in here that have been looking at Big Blue since they were teenage witches in the 80s, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's Raven Buckland's horned helmet."
Yeah. So is it safe to say that Buckland was the Elvis Presley of Wicca and witchcraft?
He was a bit of a rock star.
I was gonna say I get that off you guys. He was definitely a rock star.
Yeah,
he was
English though, so maybe he was more like
Tommy Steele.
Sorry about that, Eric. I know you're just starting to talk, and I walked right over you.
No. I was just going to ask. So what would he have done then with that helmet on his head? What would he have done?
Well, he would have been coronated because for the Samhain ritual, the year is divided up into a lot of different parts. But one of the main things is it's divided into two halves. It goes from Halloween to Beltane, May 1st. And that is when the horned god is kind of in control of things. Think about it. When you're, it's the winter, you can't grow things, so you have to go hunting for your food, etc.
You have to use fire to cook things. Fire is one of the elements that represents the god.
So the high priest is kind of in charge of the coven, but I remember him joking with me once where he was like, "We all know the high priestess is in charge anyway." But
just like most relationships.
But so the high priest would be in charge from Halloween to Beltane. So it would be a ritual essentially coronating him and coronating the horned god.
So he's prom king of Wicca.
Prom king for 6
Pretty
months.
much. Well, I guess he'd be more like the homecoming.
Okay, just to kind of put it in terms I would wrap my head around. He's like the homecoming king. He was the man.
So you have the light. In essence, you have the light half of the year and you have the dark half of the year. Correct. And this would be the dark half that we're heading into.
We're heading into the dark.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting here in my office above the garage and feeling my nuts getting cold.
Wow. That's fairly...
And it's dark.
Visual.
Yeah, well...
This is show about witchcraft. All right. Give us a couple more, one or two more of the actual Buckland himself, his own badass, artifacts, and what would have been done with them.
Well, it's very important with witchcraft that we talk about like both sides. So, Jillian, the high priestess headdress.
Oh yes, there's also there's the horn helmet, but there's also the high priestess has her own headdress, which has a crescent moon on it because the goddess then takes over at Beltane, and the goddess is the moon. And when you think about it, when spring comes around, that's when like babies are being born and you're starting to grow food and you're nurturing. So it's a little bit more feminine characters, for lack of a better word, feminine characters. And so we have Lady Rowan's high priestess headdress here that was, the first American Gardnerian high priestess's headdress on display. So that's pretty fantastic too.
So with the matriarchal system like witchcraft, like Wicca, this is almost like having like L. Ron Hubbard's first e-meter. It's it's like really a beautiful like religious, like alternative religious artifact.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Eric, what was your favorite artifact in there when you walked through there?
Well, honestly, what stuck most in my mind, of course, was the demon box because it was truly haunted, and I believe that something is in there and was confined there, and that's pretty spooky. And that that dials in the most, that penetrates the thickness of my skull because of the paranormal, supernatural aspects. I loved a lot of the pop culture stuff. I love the fact that not only do you then have actual witchcraft artifacts and things that do things and things that are used to cast spells and the like, but I also liked very much the fact the way that you guys set the context for these things within pop culture. So maybe tell us a little bit. I know, and we were talking about silly things like black light posters, because I had them. I'm that age, you know. I had them up in my room in the 70s, and you guys had a couple of the ones that I had, and we were talking about some of that. So probably no one aspect of the pop culture stuff, but I'd love to hear what you guys think, because you did a very good job of putting things in context for me and putting this history, this kind of hidden history within the bigger history of popular culture in America and the Western world. So maybe what are a few of the most significant pop culture items that you have that you think really kind of frame it very well?
All right, so pretty much my favorite piece that we have is fairly common, but I just love it so much. It's called the Kabbalah, the mysterious game that foretells the future. And it has, it's this glow-in-the-dark game, and it has 72 tarot cards that go around it that use a ball to figure for your divination part. But it's so hokey and beautiful and incredible and designed by somebody that was just like, man, I gotta go to the library and find out about this occult stuff, because that's what the kids really need. And I'm going to sculpt this beautiful, beautiful piece. And just the fact that we have one of those on display, it just brings so much joy to my heart. It's I remember finding one at the old Sweet Lorraine probably about 30 years ago, and I almost started crying because I was so happy. I had no idea what it was, but I was like, this thing is like encapsulated everything I love all into one crazy gizmo. And I know I'm getting really excited here, but you know, sometimes my passion really spills out. It's the kind of thing that you just look at and you're like, wow, that is weird.
And that existed and was sold at toy stores.
Yeah.
In the 60s?
Yeah, so it's, I think it's 68.
68? Yeah.
So it's like, I've had an obsession, I'm not sure where it came from, with what I refer to. It's from a Throbbing Gristle song, 6660s, where it's just like, you know, you guys were talking about the 50th anniversary of Rosemary's Baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just like it was so much better then. It's just like you could go around being spooky. You could be a member of the Process Church of the Final Judgment if you wanted to. It's Raymond Buckland was showing around, like giving lectures places. Oh man,
it was a good time.
I was born too late.
Yeah, and rock and roll was really, responding to all that and putting out some great music. And the blacklight posters, like you were saying. Like we have a Pro Arts blacklight poster, and that was a company actually based out of, now it's a suburb of Cleveland. It used to be farmland outside of Cleveland, but now it's a suburb.
Oh, very cool.
Do yourself a favor and Google search Pro Arts blacklight posters, because you'll see exactly what we're talking about.
You will see the greatest art that's ever been shared in the world.
That's ever been blacklit.
Has ever been lit by light. Yeah.
So let's actually dig into that a bit. Why was that period? I guess we're really talking about 60s and 70s, perhaps. Why was that period kind of a golden age for such things? For the combination of the spread of witchcraft and alternative religions or alternative practices and pop culture. Why was that time so magical?
I think one day you'll have to have on your show a guy named Gary Lockman. He was the original guitar player for Blondie, and he wrote a book called Turn Off Your Mind, The Dark Side of the Age of Aquarius. And it goes into all that stuff, all sorts of stuff about Marian Faithfull, seeing UFOs, Kenneth Anger, all the really, really fascinating aspects. I don't know. I wasn't born yet. I was born in 1972. But I've always been kind of like looking back and just wondering how amazing it could be. I was a child of the 70s, so I grew up on In Search Of.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a weird echo of all that stuff, you know?
Heck
and,
yeah.
I just love it to death. So, speaking of In Search Of, Loch Ness, we do have some Aleister Crowley artifacts here on display, and those are a big draw for people. People come from all over. A lot of the real seeker types come in here, and they're like, Aleister Crowley, no way. And I'm like, yeah, way. We're here.
Yeah, that guy, Aleister Crowley, he was something else. He was not only legendary in the black arts, but he was also a secret spy for the British government.
That's true. He was. I think he and Buck probably would have gotten along in some ways because Buck, he had wore a lot of different hats. Crowley had a lot of different aspects to him that are pretty fascinating. I think I don't know. He seems like he was a bit much. Probably was kind of hard to hang out with.
If you call yourself the evilest man on the planet, yeah, I'm sure you don't have a lot of friends hanging around.
You know what my daughter and her college friends would call him? They would call him extra. He is so extra. Well, for those who don't know, give us a little background on. Now, you pronounce it Crowley. Is that the actual pronunciation of his name?
Yeah, because it rhymes with unholy.
Oh, well, tell us about it for those. I'm sure there's plenty out there who have heard the name but don't exactly know who he is or what he did.
He's like one of those people that you had. There's podcasts completely dedicated to him that talk about him for hours and hours every week. It's he was just this guy who he was a popularizer of the cult. He was a mountaineer. He was one of the first people to climb K2, but he was really into ceremonial magic. And he has a more magical organization that's still very active. They have a lodge here in Cleveland, the Ordo Templar Orientis. And it's just people that kind of follow his teachings, follow his rituals, and explore like kind of his way of seeing inner space.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's perceived as being very dark and even satanic. Is that true?
Everything's dark now, that's the thing.
At the time,
spoken like a relativist.
Yeah. At the time, though, when he had been considered, dark. I mean, he did proclaim himself to be the evilest man in the world at one time.
I don't think it was him, actually. I think he sued the publisher that said that. He's like, and it's actually wicked. He's like, really? Okay. I'm not that wicked. There's a lot worse.
He was like trying to, do magic to open up gateways to other worlds.
Mm-hmm.
And along with that comes the unknown, potentially the evil. So,
many, many years ago, I talked to Jimmy Page, and he bought his house at one time. He owned that home.
Yeah. It's you spoke with Jimmy Page?
That was many years ago. We had him on the show. We mainly talked about rock and roll. At that time, it was a guitar show. And
he works at the Rock Hall, and I'm always like, hey, man, if Jimmy ever comes there, give us a call.
Yeah, but he bought the house, and he told me it was every bit as insane as you think it is and more.
Oh, I bet. My friend Brian's been there. He said it was pretty weird.
Yeah.
So it's actually burned down.
Yes. Yeah. It's no longer standing. And but it's funny because Crowley and, of course, Churchill at one time were tight. A lot of people didn't know that. The V that Churchill gives off is not for victory. It's to ward off evil.
Yeah. And supposedly he's the one that came up with the idea that the Pentagon should be shaped that way because it would be a natural repellent to the swastika.
Interesting. I did not know that one. That's a new one to me.
Very interesting, I must say.
Stuff.
All right, we're already getting short on time. We told you that hour would go fast. So, a couple things. have either of you, what are each of your positions on the paranormal? Have you ever had any paranormal experiences? And how is it that you are so well versed in witchcraft and the occult, but claim that you are not affiliated or practitioners?
Jillian's had some experience.
I've definitely had some paranormal experiences.
Whip it on us.
I grew up in a house where you could hear someone walking up and down the stairs, and my bedroom was right at the top of the stairs. Nothing scary. You just hear people walking around.
Sure.
And then I've had some experiences, some weird Ouija board experiences, and ghost, encounters. I don't really see things, but I hear things, and I'll feel things, but I've never really seen anything per se. So yeah, I've been around it. I don't see a lot of it, but yeah. And, my interest is, I was never raised anything in particular, religious wise. So I've often sought something. Mm-hmm. And in a lot of cases, it's been, it's not Christianity, because I tried that. And, it never really interested me. It didn't really make much sense to me. So, I studied Buddhism and, and I'm a nature lover, as I said before. So a lot of it goes hand in hand with Wicca, with witchcraft and paganism in general. So that's kind of my story. Stephen, though.
I guess I've had some pretty interesting paranormal experiences. The most basic one would have been at a spiritualist church where just this woman completely floored me with knowing about how my grandmother had just passed away at the age of 99 with one leg, and a Swedish woman. That was very weird, and that's kind of took me from being a complete atheist to one of those obnoxious ones that can't shut up about it to, be like, hey, I don't know. And I mean, there's been some other things that have happened that, I don't know, not that comfortable talking about in public. But, and as far as what you're saying, I mean, there's, I know a lot about this because, I'm a general seeker type. I've always been exploring it. And, I claim I'm not a witch or any of that stuff, but I mean, sometimes you got to try the tools, not the ones here.
We do both in some ways dabble in magic, though. I'm into crystals. Steven's done some candle burning rituals and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, we dabble in it.
Sure, you got to give it a try. Like you say, you can't have a museum like that without, trying some practical magic, actually trying it.
What happened with the dabbling?
Our friend Tony and we have promised her that we would never use any of the artifacts and any of the rituals. And I actually made a promise to Buckland also, because these are really cultural heritage objects, stuff that should be, this is stuff that goes back a real long way and really shouldn't be waved around, because you wind up doing things like having a broken pipe that belonged to Aleister Crowley.
Yeah. And if you're waving around Aleister Crowley's wand and you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna get in trouble.
You're gonna get shocked.
Let's just let that be.
Wow. So you don't want to give it to someone that has no knowledge of anything, hand them the wand and say, hey, start whipping it around a little bit. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
I'm kind of cynical, so that might be kind of funny, but no, I don't want to do that. Not really.
Well, that's probably good. That's probably a very good thing. We don't need to unleash evil on the world inadvertently.
I've known Steven how many years now? 6 years?
It's been a while.
26 years. And this whole time he's been interested in the occult and alternative belief systems, I guess you could say, and religion in general. He really studies, and he knows more than anyone I know. He's an amateur. Well, I'd say you're an official scholar now that you're curator. And
now, would you say that I've been prepping for this my whole life?
I feel like you've been prepping for this your whole life. Yes, I
do. Well, how did you end up in the position of curator, Stephen?
Well, there's two of us.
Yep.
And well, there's Tony, our partner in all this down in Columbus. Hi, Tony. Hope you're listening. And then there's Jillian and I. So we're like, Jillian, you could be director. What do you think?
Yeah, because I don't have the curatorial knowledge, but I have a lot of maybe a little more of the business sense.
Yeah.
So that was a natural role for me, and Steven has all the knowledge.
I am a curator of a very popular pop culture museum right down the street from here. So it's all it's been an interesting ride.
It sounds like the makings of a sitcom. It'd be two guys, a girl, and a magic shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've often thought that there should be a reality show about us, but
too
late now.
That would be nightmarish.
I wouldn't want anyone to actually know what goes on in our life. So
yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about your relationship with the Christmas Story Museum, because people sure know all about that. And incidentally, it was reputed to be haunted.
All right, so I work for a Christmas Story house during the day. I'm the curator of the museum there, and I also do a lot of the marketing stuff. It's a very fun gig. It's I feel very honored to work someplace where I see so many smiling faces all day long. It's really like Cleveland's little bit of like the Magic Kingdom, because I mean, who doesn't love that movie?
Everybody that I know loves it.
You know. And
it's funny.
So I work there, and like I said, I'm the curator of the museum. I take care of like Ralphie's BB gun and Randy's snowsuit and a bunch of other cool stuff. And as far as the thing about being haunted, I had just kind of started working there when that crew came along, and I don't know what happened. I think pretty much nothing really happened. It was just kind of like maybe somebody was like, what are those little devices that you guys carry around?
Well, there's several little devices.
The ones that are like catching the electrical thing.
EMF detector.
So maybe one of those went off, but then who knows? Maybe
Isn't kind of every old house haunted in some way?
Well, I would, some would say yes, and at least the memories are anyway. They're captured. How did they ascertain it's haunted just because of an EMF spike one time? That was
I think a crew came, and I think they were just like, it's haunted, but not really enough to do a whole show about.
One of those. Okay. Gotcha. I did not know that the Christmas Story museum.
Well, this was the house, actually. It was the museum across the street.
Okay. All right. Because I actually have an original Red Ryder BB gun. That's how much I love that show.
Nice. Excellent. Have you been to the museum?
I have never gone to the museum yet. I would like to get there one day and take a look at it and stuff like that.
Give you a personal tour.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Love to get there. Love to take a walk to the Buckland as well, because it does sound very intriguing. A lot of fun.
We try to keep it light.
Yeah, well, it's a pretty dark subject matter, the Buckland. I mean, some would perceive it that way. So, you almost got to keep it pretty light and keep it educational. And that's something Eric had said, that he was kind of somewhat pleasantly surprised at the education value of it as well.
Yeah, definitely. And we also Buckland never took himself serious. He took himself seriously, of course, but he never took it too seriously where he couldn't have a joke about it. So
sure,
we feel like we carry on his tradition by being a little, cracking jokes every once in a while and letting people have a good time here.
Raymond Buckland told me a hilarious joke one time that had nothing to do with witchcraft, had nothing to do with anything, but it really resonated with me. He said, Stephen, I noticed that Denny's, they'll give you a free meal on your birthday. If you go to Denny's on your birthday, your life sucks. It's so funny, dude.
Hey, true. Real quick, we're running out of time. How do people get a hold of you? And we mentioned Cleveland, but we haven't really said Tremont. So tell people basically how to get a hold of you and just any other info you want them to have. It sounds like they better get over there before you shut down at the end of the year.
Yeah, they need to compare and contrast the museums. So they can find us easily at bucklandmuseum.org. We're on I post a lot on our Instagram, Buckland Museum, and then of course our Facebook page, which I think may be Witch Museum. And so you just Google Buckland Museum, Witchcraft Museum, Cleveland, anything like that, you can find us. And we keep kind of odd hours, so check the website beforehand so you don't show up and then be mad that I'm not here.
Yeah, we do somewhat seasonal hours too, because right now a lot of people are coming in. The summer, a lot of people came in, and we also do appointments. We don't live too far from here, so if someone
and I work right down the street.
Someone can't make it during our regular hours, we can usually work something out. So
very, very cool. Thanks, guys, for coming on. Boy, Eric, this has just blown right by, hasn't it?
It's amazing. Just boop, hours over.
It's done
there
again.
You go.
But again, if you want to get
here, how's that?
Yeah, we'll have more.
Exactly. If you want to go there yourself, visit the bucklandmuseum.org. It's all there, all the booking information. You can get your own tour going. You can do whatever you want to do. Thanks again to Jillian and Steven for coming on the show. Until next time, guys, take care of each other, love each other. Hey, practice some magic. You just never know. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Not unless you know what you're doing. And to know better, visit the Buckland. Okay, see you guys later. Thank you for listening to this edition of After Hours AM. And please remember to like us on Facebook and also follow us over on Twitter.